So you can talk about that today, right?
Let's wait for another day or another week.
Okay, sounds good. And welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report. One of our favorite people, Bob Vineyard from Pure Water Systems. In fact, my update filters will be here on Monday. What I do is I try to maintain real good maintenance, which is changing the whole house filter twice a year, and the other filters for BEV 300. We have two of them, and I have a BEV 100 system too for my sons. Change those once a year. And if you use a whole house filter, it's going to preserve the high quality of your BEV system as well. Bob, you know, in this day and age, with the amount of toxins in the water, radiotoxins, chemicals, nanoparticles. We had a question in the first hour from one of our guys, Cecil, about are there nanoparticles in the air? Of course, from heavy metal pollution, from industry, from nanoparticles put up in the upper troposphere, for turning the air and the planet into a plasma, for all kinds of nasty, weird, Tier 1 science, whiz-bang, Buck Rogers stuff. And I think people should start understanding that they are being poisoned, and there are ways of stopping it by just filtering this garbage out of your water, because they call it potable. I don't know what the word potable means. Maybe they want to turn you into something that needs to be potted. But potable water doesn't mean it's actually fit to promote health or prevent cancer or detoxify you. You have to drink clean filtered water, and when you start drinking it, by the way, you'll notice it's cleaner than mountain water. It's cleaner than distilled water. It's cleaner than water put through a charcoal system or a ceramic system, like many of the ones out there. So, Bob, when you're explaining the technology behind your system, which really creates water that's clean enough, you could do a lab experiment, and there wouldn't be toxins, and it would disrupt the data from the experiment. That's how clean this water is.
Well, thanks, Dr. Bill. Great to be back with you and your listeners. Always a pleasure to be with you. The thing that gets me about this whole idea of water and water purification is it's so simple, and yet it's really complex at the same time. It's one of those little paradoxes of life. Water, it's like H2O. How hard can it be? But one of the great things about water is it does this interesting thing called polar bonds. And because it's kind of always got a little bit of a charge to it, it dissolves a little bit of just about everything it touches. And that's good and really bad. It's really bad in so much as, all the toxins that exist in the environment, in the world, well, at some point in time, they're getting washed over by some water. Because it comes out of the sky, it goes through the ground, it gets in the rivers, gets in the water table, gets in the mountains, travels through the rock, recharges the aquifers. It's in the ice pack, it's in the snow pack, it's in everything. And like you said, it's all kinds of things. I mean, it doesn't matter here in Oregon, in Portland, a big stink right now, a couple places in the city that are glass makers, and they do special glass, and, they've been using some chemicals in their glass that's normally used to color glass, cadmium, and things like that. Well, guess what? A little bit of that stuff's in the smokestacks, goes out, ventilates out into the environment. Now everybody's up in arms. Oh, my God, this part of Portland's being toxified because of the little bit of cadmium. Well, they're measuring. They're finding it's not really a very high concentration. It kind of passes what should be, safe levels according to the government. But that just means it's out there. It's getting in the water table. It's getting into the water supply because you know what? Portland lives next to dozens of rivers, and that stuff washes out of the soil onto the ground and gets in the river, and then it gets in the ocean, and then it gets in the atmosphere, and then it comes back and gets in the cycle. And so this stuff is out there, and it's everywhere. And it's there sometimes in higher concentrations, sometimes in itty-bitty concentrations. And some of it's organic in terms of its organic molecules like pesticides, herbicides, industrial solvents. Some of it's inorganic, cadmium, mercury, lead. Of course, everybody heard about lead lately. Some of it's radioactive. Fukushima comes to mind.
Right.
And some of it's bacteriological. Sometimes you get the bug that gives you dysentery and you poop your brains out until you can't stand up because you're so dehydrated. And so all these things exist in the water, and maybe it's not in your water today, but just like the gal who called me this morning, hey, guess what? The city just announced we've got a lead problem. And so it may not be in your water today, or it probably is, they just haven't measured for it. And so what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to get a little filter and try to solve one aspect of the problem? You're going to try to put a little Band-Aid on it, make yourself feel better because it smells better, it tastes better? I mean, that's just foolishness. And so, if you're going to do something about it, solve the problem. And do yourself a huge favor, solve the problem once and for all so that you can be protected from this crap showing up in the environment, showing up in your water, because it's not just you, it's your kids, it's your daughter who's going to grow up someday and get pregnant and want to have a baby. You don't want her loading up her tissues full of this nasty chemicals that get stored in the tissues in the body. I mean, this stuff is out there, and one of the primary ways we're exposed to it is in our drinking water. So let's just solve the problem. Well, that's what we did at Pure Water Systems. We solved the problem. We solve it for radioactive particles. We solve it for organic molecules. We solve it for inorganic molecules. We solve it for pesticides, herbicides. We solve it for bacteria, cyst, and virus. It's just why screw around is our philosophy. Why not just, if you're going to do the job, let's do it right, and then we don't have to worry about it. And so the Pure Water Systems combine the most proven methods available for purifying water. Simple as that. These are the best methods that we know of. Granular activated carbon, really good if you do it right at removing organic molecules. Reverse osmosis, the most cost-effective way to reduce the greatest amount of inorganic contaminants and a lot of other great big organic molecules. Deionization, to clean up all the stuff that the reverse osmosis doesn't get rid of. And then we add a barrier to make sure bacteria, cysts, and virus don't get into the cyst, don't come out of the water. And just in case you're a knucklehead and you'll bump your chicken carcass up against the spout while you're washing the chicken, getting ready for dinner, or the turkey, Thanksgiving time, you bump it into the spout on your water machine. You don't want that bacteria traveling back down and setting up shop in your filters, so we protect against that. So, it's the problem is solved. So count on the fact that I've been doing this for 30 plus years. I've seen all the fads come and go, and I make systems for research and analytical labs, and those guys absolutely demand the highest impurity. And guess what? If their experiment screws up because I didn't deliver what I said I delivered, I'm going to get sued. So I'm liable. So I've got to make the best possible water. Well, we take that same technology, we scale it down and put it in a residential application. You can put it under your sink. Once a year, you change some filters, and the problem's solved for you. You don't have to worry about this stuff being in your water. And thanks to Dr. Bill and and the generosity of the Nutrimedical program, you get a 10% discount if you use the discount code NUTRIMED when you order. And if you click through from Dr. Bill's site, that'll already be pre-populated in the checkout. If not, just use the promo code and save 10%. It's simple. You solve the problem. You feel good. And like most of my customers call back when they're ordering filters 5 years, 10 years after they had their system, the common response we hear all the time, this is one of the best investments in my health I ever made.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And now, what people should realize is we can test it with the QRMA machine. We can also do biological tests like the Genova Labs packed red cells. You can actually order it through Lab Testing Direct, the kit. You can go to a LabCorp request or even get a mobile blood tech to draw it even in your kitchen. You can actually, it'll come back with a nuclear spectroscopy of your blood red cells, and it'll tell you what heavy metals. We can also get even a breath test done through the Environmental Health Center of Dallas of the volatile chemicals in your water that if you're using this system, you won't have in your breath, that Dr. William Ray will do for you through the EHCD in Dallas. So get a Pure Water system. Don't get an inferior one. Don't get some other knockoff. Get the real stuff that creates clean, filtered, 100% toxin-free water. Base station, portable, Bev 300, and now new systems coming. And welcome back, and we're going to talk about some nutritional things for this hour. The latest research has shown, of course, that vitamin C helps to delay cataracts. It also will help to delay macular changes. Our protocol for eyes is a vision care, a special combination formula, the most powerful. I remember many years ago, 30 years ago plus, Steve Levine used to be a biochemist at University of California, Berkeley, started to develop a company called Allergy Research Group. And, of course, I'm very familiar with the Allergy Research Group Nutraceuticals. We have exceeded those. Our eye formula, Vision Care, is superior to that old formula. We also have, of course, with that, I recommend for the eyes that you take Power C Plus, Cell Detox Glutathione, and, of course, the Can-C eye drops developed by Dr. Babachev, which are a delinking agent. We also have delinking agents that include Nutritrala, and I call it D-Linker. I call it the carnosine D-Linker to unlink proteins that are cross-linked by oxidized cholesterol, oxidized sugar, that is, because sugar is the best patch to grab singlet oxygen. The primary thing that causes cataracts and these other things is basically oxidative stress. In fact, the best way to think of cataracts is a form of eye scurvy, where you have vitamin C deficiency. It also is tied directly to the same kind of changes that also delay the formation of collagen. So other things that are going to help your eye heal and prevent cataracts will include things to stop oxidative stress. Nutritrala, long-acting alpha-lipoic acid that recycles your fat and water-soluble antioxidants. Carnosine and Regenerex, which stimulates the PGC1 alpha, superoxide dismutase pathways. And, of course, one of my most powerful that I really love is Cell Detox Glutathione. Cell Detox Glutathione, extremely important, and be able to reverse eye conditions. So that's kind of some interesting news. Now, one of the things we did last time is we went over some of their latest consultations, and I think it might be useful to do that when we talk about consultations that have been completed. Let's see. Let's pull up some of the latest consultations sent. Okay, here we are. One of the things we have is a gentleman that wanted to have a consultation for recovery from bronchitis, and it was before his actually mother. First, we recommend something that will penetrate to the biofilm, which is our triple threat, Allicin Med, 1 capsule at least 3 times a day, Nutriodine 15 drops in water 3 times a day, and Silver 100. And I recommend inhalation spray, sets of 3, you hold for a count of 10, repeat it until you have the full set, and do that 3 or 4 times a day. NutriDefense, which is going to boost your natural killer cells against pathogens, and also disrupt viral capsid and the Fenton reaction that allows pathogens to enter tissues. For the lungs especially, Cell Detox Glutathione oral capsules, but I also recommend you get a mortar and pestle and put it into, say, a My Pure Mist. And I'm setting up a hyperlink directly to a few products that are carried over at Amazon, like a My Pure Mist and some other equipment that you can purchase, and they're at really good prices. Then Power C Plus, at least 2 to 3 capsules several times a day. MyCell D3 to boost your immune system, and Myco D2. And you can make these into a smoothie if you have to, for someone that's elderly and doesn't really have the capacity. We have a lady had evening, we would call stomach sickness in pregnancy. That's due to the progesterone causing elevated levels, especially in early pregnancy, or as the abdominal pressures increase against the esophagus, acid reflux. So we want to use Gastro Heal, chew 1 to 2 tablets 4 times a day, and IBS Care to restore normal peristalsis of the esophagus and the bowel. That usually will do a big thing. The other is to get a wedge, a foam wedge, and put it under the bed so you're elevated, so you're not getting acid reflux. And sometimes for dysbiosis, I recommend Living Probiotic and Living Probiotic Ultra. The next condition is osteoarthritis. And, of course, we tell people, first one is leptin metabolic, to change it's a glycosaminoglycan analog that actually turns off the cytokines in your joints if you have osteo. You'll see elevated blood insulin levels, and you don't see necessarily diabetes, but you can have dysbiosis. Abnormal lipid disorders, that is. And you often see dysbiosis as well. We want to use inflammatory markers, blockers like Inflamex. You can use Joint Performance, it's excellent, and to stop the osteoarthritis, and Tendon Mender, topical pregnenolone and curcumin cream. And the next stage for the treatment is to add Collagen Max to stimulate the regeneration of the glycosaminoglycans in your cartilage, and to making more of the hydroviscous layer, because cartilage isn't supposed to touch cartilage. and opening a mountain red velvet tablet at least 2 to 3 times a day, and of course adding the tendon mender to the joint performance, and samethyl, which is a very important methylator for methylating and creating glycosaminoglycans and the joints and cartilage. So that protocol, I'm doing updates all the time on my protocol, so you'll see those. Let's see here. Next issue would be antifungal issues. Yeah, it's interesting. This is dealing with Kira, a doggy that had bad fungi, and I took from her history that's what it was. They sent it off to my mycology lab, and despite all of the surprised veterinarians, I was correct. It was a serious fungal infection. Let's have a look at this latest one. Yes, that was that one regarding osteoarthritis. Here we are. Oh, we have a gentleman who had, of course, problems with hypertension, and we had to do an updated protocol. If you're taking Cardiovasc, whether it's the drops or capsules, it's 3 times a day, not twice a day. Same with Supernox. Magnesium glycinate, at least 3 capsules twice a day, and magnesium taurate, usually not 1 cap, but 2 caps twice a day at least. The other things that are going to help to stop inflammation of the blood vessel wall would be ellagic acid, omega supreme krill, with these astaxanthin, gamma E+, of course the Power C+, which will reduce inflammation, and the brain calm mind, because it crosses and calms the nervous system. A lot of times it's the central nervous system that's really overactivated, so Posinol, which we've now renamed Mood Elevator, is very good for calming the nervous system down, along with the brain mag and calm mind. Drink 1 to 2 scoops 2 to 3 times a day, and that will make a significant difference. Let's see. We have a number of people that have cancer, and what I tell people is, even if we refer you to another clinic, please never stop the nutraceuticals that we use to give you to help to control your immune system, to shut off the metabolism of the tumor, even if we refer you elsewhere, whether it's to Isol's clinic or Brzezinski or a clinic in Europe or Mexico or elsewhere. We have questions about people that have depression and tremors. First thing I recommend is Mood Elevator, which is Posinol, 2 soft gels 3 times a day, and BioLVR, at least a capsule 3 times a day. Minerals Plus, which has the minerals that bioconvert amino acids to the neurotransmitters to correct depression. Brain Mag and Calm Mind to stop anxiety and normalize the limbic system seizures, which are actually tied into depression. And Spilkes, which is a calcium magnesium taurate, which will help to stabilize the brain. If there's a lot of fatigue or low energy, we would add Cognition Plus, Brain Power, and especially Narival, which is acetyltyrosine, because it immediately will increase, and it's good for MS fatigue, it's good for Parkinson's disease, and it's good for what's called hypoactive depression. The Narival is amazing. It works actually within an hour. It'll stop a lot of the fatigue, along with the things like D-ribose, which we call ATP energy, and the cell energy, which is the ALC 1000. These work instantly. You take a drink, boom, in 5 to 10 minutes your energy is back, along with Welcome back, and one of the conditions we deal with constantly is we deal with hypertension and vascular illness. And what is vascular illness? It's if you look at the layers of the inside of the blood vessels, the inside layer is called the endothelium. Endothelial wall function we can restore with Cardiovasc, Supernox, Gamma E+, ellagic acid, Omega Supreme Krill, and VascuCare, which is a special form of propionyl L-carnitine, and then CoQ10 Supreme Ubiquinol and CoQ10. The CoQ10 we have, by the way, is the only CoQ10 in the world that will not polymerize or crystallize, and therefore it maintains its potency. Within a month, all other CoQ10s become only 5% potent. The next area that we have to deal with is often loss of vision. We have a Vision Max, of course. We recommend ultrathymine B1 and Vein-Away for the circulation. Also, believe it or not, forskolin, which we mentioned in the first segment, helps improve weight loss, but it also helps improve microcirculation. And the studies have been done and showed CDP, or cytidine choline, will improve eye function, as well as Neurogen, which helps remyelinate the optic nerve head and the rods and cones in the back of your eye. It's often tied to diabetes, so we recommend our core protocol of dibetaline, glycemics, and leptin metabolic. We can add to that chromium cruciferate and biotin plus. ellagic acid is extremely important not only for DNA repair but also for blood vessel wall healing. You can actually do a BK scan ultrasound and see the endothelium and the vessel wall heal, especially with the use of other nutraceuticals such as cell detox glutathione, cardiovasc, and of course the Omega Supreme krill. And I like the Omega Supreme with a background, but then the Omega Supreme krill has 2,000 micrograms per soft gel of astaxanthin. Mega Reds, which is the competitor out in the regular public, is only 117 micrograms by head-to-head independent lab studies. Now, one of the things we often want to do is repair energy levels, and so I recommend to start with Cognition Plus Brain Power and Synaptin. You can add that to that ALC 1000, which I'm renaming Cell Energy. It has to be special ordered. It's very expensive. D-ribose is not nearly as expensive. It's ATP Energy. Brain Mag and Calm Mind are amazing as a drink, and you can add to that the Sports Energy Light, which has a slow-release form of caffeine, as well as things for ATP energy production. We have a new form of the Sports Energy Light drink that will be coming out with a special ATP conversion biomolecule as well. The next add for mitochondrial function and energy is mitochondrial catalysts. And the use of uridine, which is a triacetyl is amazing, along with CoQ10, Supreme, and the various forms of carnitine. Our Cell Energy, or ALC 1000, the IBS Care, which is a slow-release carnitine we use for the bowel, and of course the Vascu Care, which is a special propionyl carnitine for muscles and the blood vessels. So those are all very effective. Let's have a look here now. We get consults from all over the world. It's kind of challenging but fun. And here's a couple of steps, by the way, for someone that wants to screen for colon cancer. The first step is to do a stool called blood. You want to be off aspirin, vitamin C, and red meat for 5 days. You want to have a blood carcinoembryonic antigen, and if either the blood test or the CEA is positive, you want to do a sigmoidoscopy right away. And you want to make sure there's proper ozone or cold sterilization so you don't get a CRE or clindamycin-resistant enterococci, which can be very nasty and can kill you. So a lot of these scopes, sigmoidoscopes and colonoscopes, are actually not properly sterilized. You want to make sure that's the case. If the occult blood and the CA are positive with a negative sigmoidoscopy because they haven't found anything, then the next option is an ultrasound of your abdomen and an MRI scan with enhancement. And if that's positive, that shows that any suspicion of a lesion, then you want to do a colonoscopy. So that's the usual steps. The danger of colonoscopy is, firstly, number one, 99% of cancers are beyond the what's called the hepatic flexure. So in other words, they're not in the ascending colon from your cecum, which is your junction between the small bowel and the large bowel, and they're not in the cecum. They're actually in either the transverse colon or more likely around the splenic flexure from the spleen down to the rectosigmoid. So 99% of tumors are in that region. So it's very unlikely to have. And by the way, deconjugating bacteria in your lower bowel, you have to clean those up because they're the cause of cancer. They release toxins that your liver conjugates through glucuronidation, sulfation, and methylation. And these deconjugating bacteria you can get rid of with berberstatin, allicin med, Living Probiotic, and Living Probiotic Ultra. Very important, and you want to make sure you have the probiotics, which are in our drinks, like Life Support and Ageless. They maintain healthy probiotic organisms because you have to feed them. And if you feed them, they actually make molecules to prevent cancer throughout your body, not just in your colon. Let's see now. When I do consultations, by the way, and this is for those people that are requesting, because I usually get at least a couple requests a day for really complex disorders. Attach all documents. Do not fax them. Do not send them in the mail. Don't send a disc. Attach them as an attachment to your history. There's an 11-page intake history form. I usually recommend you purchase at least 2 units of time, which is a half-hour time, at least 2 units initially, and then maybe additional units depending on how much time I have to spend either with you on the phone or reviewing records and doing the full analysis. I'll do wellness consultations as well as medical legal, and review the records as medical legal consultant in terms of your case too. So it's all time dependent in terms of my time with you on the phone or as well. And anybody can request a consult. You don't have to be an elite customer. You can be someone brand new that has never been with us before. We had a recent request of somebody who had a spinal and head injury, and they want to know what to do to stop pain. Well, our initial protocol is to use Inflamex, 4 to 5 capsules, 2 to 3 times a day, Tendon Mender, 2 capsules twice a day, Joint Performance, 2 capsules twice a day, Collagen Max, at least a capsule twice a day, and then Mountain Red Velvet, 1 capsule under the tongue, 2 to 3 times a day, topically over the areas of the spine, pregnenolone and curcumin cream, and then micropulse to the regions where you can wear constantly, and lumen photon, setting 7 for pain, and Nico for healing. I usually recommend as well that we look for other causes of neuropathy or entrapment and deal with those as well. Sometimes you'll need a deep tissue massage if you've got a lot of interfascial adhesions and other approaches. But try to avoid surgery like the plague, and if we have to, we can refer for special types of treatment like with Dr. Centeno's clinic, but those are all on consult. Let's see. Got some interesting information here. I get all kinds of contacts from all over the world. People wonder if people can get infections in their pets. Yeah, you can get parvovirus B19. We don't see heartworm affecting humans. You can get spirochetes. You can get mycobacteria, fungi, and other parasites. The white-footed mouse, which is a common pest across especially the western United States, can carry up to 30-plus pathogens in its body, and is a major vector for all kinds of illness, including hantavirus, which is in New Mexico and elsewhere. These cause very serious illnesses. So if you're trying to prevent these things, you want to take on a regular basis Allison Med every day and some Nutridine, Silver 100 to the specific tissues like your sinuses, your lungs, etc., and take Nutri Defense to boost your immune system to fight them. And if you're trying to reheal a gut, you want Perpostat and Living Probiotic and Living Probiotic Ultra. Constant hygiene is a good idea, to be honest with you. We have, let's see now. We have people that have, I'm just looking through my consultations here. I have a zillion of them just recently. It's quite amazing how fast we have, how can I say, these consultations we go through. Let's see, let's look at the next page here. Okay. Polymyalgia rheumatica, temporal arteritis. When we come back, we'll talk about that. We'll be back in just a medical report. And let's talk about some of the other amazing things. When I get a QRMA report, by the way, when I get a compressed file, I look through that and their wellness history, and I can decide based on their QRMA report exactly what's going on in terms of their abnormalities. For example, here's a QRMA where their results of this person, younger person actually, showed some mild cardiovascular abnormality of vascular elasticity, coronary perfusion, and small intestinal absorption. Arterial oxygen capacity was also low, and there showed signs of some early hyperplastic calcification of cervical areas of their spine, skin changes, and specific vitamin levels were low for vitamin B6, vitamin C, and vitamin E. Heavy metals was moderately high lead, and of course collagen synthesis was low in the circulatory muscles and skeleton. So I can give specific recommendations. This person was actually relatively healthy, so I give specific recommendations to help correct all those illnesses, all those imbalances. And long before you get a physical illness, which maybe take 10 or 15 or 20 years, if we identify the imbalances that are present with either functional medicine, blood, urine, stool, and genetic tests, or a bioplasmatic test like the QRMA or the bioplasm, we can tell you what imbalances need to be corrected before you get an illness, before you even get symptoms, which is pretty cool. It's a new level of science that actually melds what we call Eastern-Western science. It's actually looking at the biophysics of what a body is in a living system, as well as its biochemistry and genetics and epigenetics. We have requests also for people that not only want optimized health, they want to reverse very serious illnesses, for example. Sometimes I also get requests from people that are trying to improve their higher spiritual and their cognitive function, and we have cognitive enhancement protocols. One's also decalcify their pineal gland and their higher spiritual centers of their brain to help correct that as well. So it's pretty amazing what we're able to do now. And as I say, I will train any doctor that wants to do that. I also have some physicians that recently we're in contact with that have microcurrent devices. I will, if they consult me, I can actually show them how to get a bioplasma machine from us, how to hook it up to actually extract the therapeutic frequencies for microcurrent or pulsed magnetic field, the Rife machine frequencies, etc. So I can demonstrate to them how they can identify those therapeutic frequencies using the technologies that I've developed from the bioplasm to extract it from the Russian Space Agency machine. So if you are a physician out there and you run a clinic and you want some assistance on doing that, I have that capacity now to help consult you to develop more advanced treatment protocols. And I'll help and consult with physicians anywhere in the world, acupuncture experts, naturopaths, chiropractors, etc. We have a lot of people that have problems with depression and anxiety. I usually recommend that people start off with BioLVR and Mood Elevator or Posinol for low energy neurival, and of course for brain function, Cognition Plus, brain power, and Synaptin. So it's pretty straightforward, and usually people respond in as little as 3 to 4 days, not 3 or 4 weeks, and there's no toxic side effects. Some people have asked and they want to know about the use of Nutrimedical, and when you're trying to deal with hyperthyroidism, why they want to know why it's helpful. Firstly, Nutrimedical will help improve the normal thyroid function. You want to reduce the inflammation in the gland too, so we use things like Cell Defense and Regenerex and Cell Detox Glutathione and immunoglobulins like Nutrimune to tone down the immune system, and the cytokine levels, and Allergon, which is a histamine blocker, which will also block interleukin-1 beta and other cytokines in the gland, and the T lymphocytes, high-dose power C, DNA repair, ellagic acid, malignant block, and full vitamin K2, metaquinone 7. It's not just all of the K vitamins, it's just K2. That's why we call it full vitamin K2. When we're looking at somebody asked about a question about detoxification for removal of mercury amalgams. I recommend that firstly, before you go for your mercury amalgam removal, you want to be on Keeler Max. You need to take your Minerals Plus as well, because you're going to be pulling out good minerals, and Vitamineral Max. You can also add ultra liquid zeolite, which is the only non-acid wash zeolite in the Western world, and some methyl. And you can identify before you do your testing and after with a QRMA or pack red cell test so that you can go through lab testing direct, and the kit can be sent anywhere, including to Australia. The gentleman who requested this was in, I believe, Western Australia, and that can be done. Only 16% of dentists in America actually remove amalgams correctly with high flow suction and all the other technologies. The problem is that less than 50% put them in now, but only 16% properly remove them, so they put their staff and themselves in danger. Do not go to a non-biological dentist. You're asking for trouble. And also, if you pull out the amalgams without being on a detox program, you'll dump from other tissues, and you can precipitate a major illness like a stroke, heart attack, cancer, or other conditions if you dump without being on a detox protocol, because you're going to dump from the tissues, because the mercury is usually moved out to your liver, kidney, spleen, and central and peripheral nervous system, where it will move out over a period of decades from creating mercury vapor off your teeth, because it acts like a micro battery and you create a vapor cloud when you chew or eat, because it's a piezoelectric crystal under compression. It creates voltages. When we're trying to get rid of parasites, people want to know what's the general parasite protocol. Allicin Med, 2 caps 3 times a day. Nutrimedical, 15 to 20 drops 3 times a day. Berberstatin, 2 caps 3 times a day. Silver 100, 1 spray or 2 sprays 3 times a day, or 3 to 6 drops per 10 pounds body weight. And then Living Probiotic Ultra is every second to third day, and Living Probiotic 1 capsule twice a day. That'll kind of clean out parasites in your gut. We have people trying to, let's see, diabetes and celiac disease. And of course, we recommend the first thing you do is, by the way, our enzymes, which includes the gastrozyme, actually has basically the enzymes to get rid of gluten. Has a glutenase enzyme, is also a non-animal based, and so I recommend for diabetes, diabetoline, glycemics, and leptin metabolic. For the celiac disease, GastroHeal, Living Probiotic Ultra, and NutriImmune immunoglobulins. And you want to be on a gluten-free and allergy-free diet. And the best way to do that is to do a blood test, say, through Genova Labs, labtestingdirect.com, IgG and IgE blood tests and you eliminate the foods or you have an IgE and you rotate or eliminate the IgG foods that have high titers, you eliminate them, and your gut will settle down, and you can do a test at Dunwoody Labs for the zonulin for leakiness of your gut, or a lactulose mannitol test, and it'll tell you if those sugars are no longer leaking in your gut. Your celiac disease will settle down with our immune protocol we use for cancer, which includes malignant arrest, malignant block, ellagic acid, full vitamin K2 and Power C+, and getting your body in an alkaline state and killing off any stealth pathogens which are also triggering the autoimmune condition. Let's have a look here now. We have, it's amazing how many consultations I get in a matter of a few days. Yeah, and I just love doing this too because it helps me to help people, and we get some amazing reports. Unfortunately, sometimes people vaccinate their dogs and so on, and their people, and they don't realize we can actually use this. We cut the dosage down to the size of their animal, pet, cat, or dog, etc. You can use ultra-liquid zeolite, Keeler-Max, Allicin-Med, and cell detox glutathione if someone has had vaccines which you didn't want and you're starting to get some nasty effects, or you're just trying to detox the toxic heavy metals and adjuvants in the vaccine. Someone's had spinal arachnoiditis, chronic pain, quadriparesis, all those kind of things. For spinal arachnoiditis, which by the way can happen just with too many spinal taps or spinal, surgery like a C-section, you want to be using Inflamex and cell detox glutathione, cell defense, Neurogen, and Allicin-Med. Very good. We will be back in a moment. We're going to be talking, today is Friday, with our scientist Ann Morrison, and we hope to track down Professor McCanney. I hope he is able to show up today. Let me double check my Skype here and see if a professor is able. And I'm very good. We'll be back in a moment with Ann Morrison, and it's twiland.info is her amazing blog, and you will benefit from her from the audio today, but you'll also benefit from her amazing newsletter blog, which covers information you'll not find anywhere else in the news media in one place. It's remarkable. Back in just a moment with Ann Morrison. Stay tuned. Hour 3. Hope to track down Professor McCanney as well.